The dog persistently barked at the pregnant belly of the woman until, half an hour later, a terrible revelation dawned upon her. Anxious, Daniela sat at the kitchen table, her heart racing as she awaited Peter's return from work, which was running significantly late that evening. This very night was when she had planned to disclose the most incredible news of her life. As the minutes stretched on, doubt began to creep in, providing her with an abundance of time to overthink. Earlier that day, Daniela woke up with a nauseous feeling that sent her rushing to the bathroom. After experiencing another bout of nausea, Daniela found herself puzzled about the cause of her discomfort. However, after some mental calculations, a suspicion began to form. Acting on her intuition, she hurried to the local grocery store, collected the necessary items, and returned home. Taking the test, she endured what felt like the longest 15 minutes of her existence. And sure enough, the result confirmed her pregnancy. Daniela was overwhelmed with joy. Even though it might have been earlier in her relationship with Peter than she had envisioned, she couldn't contain her excitement about embracing motherhood and sharing this astonishing revelation with him. She pondered about Peter's potential reaction. Their love for each other was profound, and she had every reason to believe that he would share in her enthusiasm. At last, the front door swung open, and the sound of Peter's footsteps drew closer. Concealing her nervousness with a forced smile, Daniela braced herself. Peter entered the kitchen, visibly surprised as he took in the table that had been set and the cake waiting for them. "What's all this?" Peter inquired, his face reflecting confusion. The room became very quiet, and time seemed to slow down a lot. Peter's face lost its color, and he glanced around like he wanted to leave. The happiness Daniela felt before turned into confusion and fear. "I'm not ready to be a dad," Peter whispered softly. "I really love you, Daniela, but I can't handle this, especially since we've only been dating for 6 months. Daniela's world fell apart. Peter's reaction was not what she thought would happen. She loved Peter a lot and thought they would have a future together. Tears filled her eyes as she watched him pack his things and leave without looking back. She sat at home, shocked. How could this have occurred? With no other choice, she took a deep breath and decided to keep moving forward. Even if Peter wasn't there to share the excitement of being parents, she was determined to be the best mom she could be. As time passed, Daniela's belly started getting bigger because of the baby. Even though she was determined to raise her child on her own, she started feeling lonely. She missed having someone to talk to after work and wanted some kind of love or attention. During one of these times, she unexpectedly found a solution. She was strolling in her nearby park, enjoying a walk, when a young German shepherd suddenly bounded up to her, seeking attention. Happily, Daniela started petting the dog, amused by how it rolled onto its back, asking for belly rubs. A little while later, the dog was still sitting by her feet near a park bench, asking for more affection. "Nice dog," a man passing by commented. "He's great, but not mine," Daniela replied. When she noticed the dog didn't have a collar, she realized it was a stray. She sat on the bench, waiting for almost 2 hours to see if someone would come to claim the dog, but no one showed up. Despite the dog's somewhat imposing look, Daniela sensed he was special. It seemed like the dog felt the same, as he immediately wagged his tail when she got up and patted him again. As the sun set, she left the park, only to find her new furry friend following her. "Hey buddy, are you following me?" she asked the dog, glancing at him as they walked. The dog responded with a wag of his tail and a cheerful bark, confirming his newfound bond with Daniela. Without planning to, she brought the dog home with her. She gathered all the necessary supplies, including food and a bed. But despite having his own bed, the dog chose to sleep next to Daniela's bed. The next day, after reaching out to the local animal agency and visiting the vet, it was confirmed that the dog was healthy. Daniela agreed to foster the dog named Tank, while the agency searched for his rightful owners. She realized that naming him might not have been the best idea, but she needed a name other than Buddy. As the weeks went by, no one came forward to claim Tank, and Daniela's belly continued to grow. Tank became increasingly protective of her. It almost seemed like he could understand the delicate position Daniela was in. Tank followed Daniela wherever she went, as if he was determined to shield her and the baby from anything that could be a threat. He stuck by her side at home and watched over her while she slept. This became even more evident one night while Daniela was in bed. During the night, she woke up to Tank growling fiercely at her bedroom door. Feeling confused and still half asleep, she thought he might need to go outside. Upon opening the door, she heard strange noises coming from the living room. With shaky hands, she reached for her phone and dialed the police, her voice trembling as she described the frightening situation unfolding in her home. The minutes dragged on like an endless wait as she nervously anticipated their arrival, consumed by fear for her safety and for Tank. But before the authorities could come to her aid, Tank, driven by his instinct to protect Daniela, took matters into his own paws. In a swift motion, he leaped at the intruder, sinking his teeth deep into the man's arm, fiercely defending his new home. The surprised intruder, seeking refuge from the determined dog's anger, quickly retreated into the bathroom. Soon realizing he couldn't escape through the small window, the intruder found himself trapped and vulnerable, facing an angry and watchful dog just outside the bathroom door. With that ordeal over, Daniela hoped to put the scare behind her and relax. She was 8 months pregnant and just wanted to prepare for her baby's arrival. However, a few days after the break-in, Daniela began feeling strange. Her stomach began to hurt, not like the labor pain, but a sharper ache. Alongside that, she started vomiting again, something that had mostly stopped after her 3rd month of pregnancy. As she sat at home, hoping the pain would subside with rest, Tank began acting oddly. He went up to Daniela and started barking at her stomach. Confused, Daniela didn't understand his behavior. It was unlike anything he had done before, and she started to worry that Tank might have become jealous of her baby, causing him to act out. Tank barked at Daniela's stomach non-stop for half an hour. No matter what she attempted, the dog refused to quiet down. He continued to bark persistently at her, almost as if he sensed what was going to happen. In the hope that a treat might calm him, Daniela got up from the couch to fetch one. However, as she did so, her vision suddenly darkened, and she tumbled backwards onto the sofa. A few minutes passed while Tank barked frantically. Annoyed by the constant noise, a neighbor of Daniela's expressed his annoyance. After getting no answer at her door, the man looked through the window and found Daniela collapsed between the sofa and the floor. Worried, he called an ambulance. When Daniela woke up, she was in a hospital, confused and scared. She looked at her stomach and realized her baby was missing. Daniela panicked, asking desperately, "Where is my baby?" The nurse quickly soothed her, assuring her that the baby was safe. Explaining the situation, the nurse revealed Daniela had been diagnosed with appendicitis, a near rupture. Despite the doctor's efforts to save both her and the baby, a successful appendectomy and an emergency C-section were needed. Fortunately, Daniela's baby was born healthy, albeit slightly smaller. When she held her baby, tears of joy flowed, a testament to the trials she endured to have her son in her arms. After leaving the hospital, Daniela returned home with her baby. She was eager for Tank to meet her son. However, upon arriving home, her neighbor informed her that Tank had been taken to the local animal shelter in her absence. Upon reaching the shelter, she did what she had wanted to do for months, officially submitted an adoption request for Tank. She knew that without Tank, her and the baby's situation might not have turned out as well. Recognizing her debt to the dog, Daniela ensured he would always have a loving home with them. With all the paperwork completed, she brought Tank home and introduced him to the baby. Tank immediately bonded with the child, as if they were family. At that moment, Daniela felt blessed to have such a wonderful life, though it might not have been the life she had initially envisioned. To her, it couldn't have been more perfect. She would never want to change a thing about it. What an incredible tale. It truly illustrates the remarkable abilities of animals and their instincts. Feel free to share your thoughts on this story in the comments below, and remember to like and subscribe for more captivating content.